So for day number 6 of my base wear test, I've decided to change how I apply my powder. Now I did actually upload days 1 to 5 on YouTube yesterday, and I got a lot of recommendations on things to try. Some of them sound really, really good, but they're also like one-off things, so things I can do for the wedding, but not things that I think are sustainable or good for my skin like every day. So I'm still on the search for my perfect sort of everyday combination. Yesterday I tried 2 different powders, and what I didn't show you at about the 10-hour mark, I think it was, or 12-hour mark, things started looking quite dry. And I feel like at the moment, my skin, yes, it is oily combination, but being quite dehydrated, at the end of the day, it just like sucks up all the moisture and leaves my skin feeling quite dry, especially on my forehead. So both powders I didn't really love. I've seen for the longest time the trick about mixing in a little bit of loose powder into your base to make things a little bit more setting and sort of long wearing. So I did that on this side. So I've gone back to my BB cream just because I don't think it was wearing very good at the start of this project, but now with a few of the sort of modifications, I'm hoping I can make it work a bit better. So that's what I've done today. I've mixed a tiny bit of the Laura Mercier Universal Loose Setting Powder. I actually really like how it applied. I feel like it actually gave, because I've got so many layers of like skincare and hydrating products and sunscreen, and I used a hydrating primer, I feel like adding a little bit of powder made it sort of stick better to the skin, because that's one problem I have with a lot of the hydrating is that you just add all these layers and they just sort of smear on top of each other. So I actually preferred how it applied. It gave it a smidge more coverage, nothing to look over the top. It still looks quite like skin-like, but it just applied a lot better and it's sitting really nicely. Now I didn't actually powder on top of this. So this side of the face, the powder is in the base. What I did a little bit with the concealer, because I put a little bit of concealer, just a tiny bit here and here, was I set a little bit under my eye. There is a little bit of creasing because I didn't set it much, but I didn't put any powder in my concealer. So I thought I've got to set it a tiny bit. So very, very lightly. This side of the face, I put the BB cream on and I set it with the powder like I normally would. And then I doused everything with setting spray. So this one feels a lot more dry and a lot more set. This one you can see looks a lot dewier. It does feel quite set, but there are parts that feel a little bit like tacky. So I quite like this amount of shine. I think it looks nicer than this, but we'll see how it wears through the day. But overall, I just like how this applied more. I'm just wondering if down the track, if this doesn't wear very well, do I then try it with setting powder on top? I feel like at the moment that's a bit too much powder, but yeah, I'm liking this so far. I also want to point out that I had a little dot of like, and this is probably going to come up as a thing throughout the day. I don't know if this got wet or something, but it lifted my base and I had to sort of touch it up again with a bit of concealer. So if there's a little bit of patch there, I don't know, something happened. But yeah, that's what we're testing today. I do like this side a lot more. I think it looks a lot nicer, but I'll show you the products I used for my base. This is my primer, so it is a skincare step, but I thought I'd use that as a hydrating primer again. The BB cream, concealer, powder, which one side is obviously mixed and one side is used to set, and I doused it with Urban Decay All Nighter Setting Spray. So that's my base today. Okay, this is a 5-hour check-in, and I'm not having a good makeup time. So this half I mixed with a bit of powder, so I mixed my foundation with a bit of powder, and this one I set it with powder as per usual. Originally I liked how this applied, but my base is not my problem. My eyelids feel like they're on fire. They're burning. It's been so uncomfortable ever since I put my eyeshadow on, and it wasn't necessarily the eyeshadow. I think I could feel it as soon as I put my eyeshadow primer on, and I've used that primer like hundreds of times, so I don't think it's the primer. I'm just wondering if all the setting spray I've been using lately is irritating my eyelids, because I do get dermatitis on my eyelids, and I have noticed in the last couple of days that I've been getting flare-ups, and I've actually been got out my steroid cream and I've been using it at night. I'm just wondering if it's triggered by the setting spray. So I had a lot of suggestions on YouTube, like put setting spray under your makeup, setting spray, a lot of setting, a lot of products to make things really last, but my skin actually doesn't really like it. That's the problem. So after this comparison, so after I tell you what the sides look like, I'm actually going to take my makeup off and just wear skincare and lots of skincare for the rest of the day, because I find that when it's like when you have like a breakout that really hurts, you know, it might just be like a spot here, but for some reason it feels like this whole area like really hurts. So my eyes, I feel like my whole like head is just like in pain and irritated, and it's giving me a headache, and it's not nice. So makeup is coming off 5 hours, whereas where we're going to stop this today, but I do see some difference. So I'm happy that I can sort of conclude whether this powder mixing thing is a good idea. Hopefully this is slightly better light so you can see. I do have sunglasses marks on both sides. This is still a bit shinier, so the fact that I didn't set the top of it with powder has made it shinier throughout the day, which is fine. I don't mind that look, but I have noticed that it's looking a lot sort of chunkier and wearing off a lot patchier, whereas this side looks a lot smoother. Besides the glasses marks, this is very smooth, and this is not. This is sort of wearing off in patchy areas and getting a bit greasy. So I would say that even though this is feeling drier, the effect is nicer and it's staying nicer for longer, and it's set the base a lot better. Also this morning I had a lot of sort of creasing issues under my eyes. I have a little bit because that's my eyes, but I have a lot less when I've set the top of my base. So I feel like the mixing, I think there's merit to it. I think it can work to change the consistency of your foundation, but in terms of longevity, if you're not going to set it and that's just going to be the only powder that you put on your face, I don't think it does enough of a job at setting. You'd have to mix it in and also set it on top for some really extra powdery goodness, and I think my skin is too dry for that at the moment. So this just looks a lot nicer in my opinion. This looks a bit not very great at 5 hours, so that is not a path that I'm planning on going down. TikTok is doing my head in. I recorded this twice and there was no audio, and I don't know what the fuck are you doing? Anyway, today it's day 7 of my base test, so I've had to pivot. So setting sprays, which were was working. Setting sprays were working, mixed with a hydrating base, things were doing well. But too much setting spray apparently is irritating my eyelids. So that has no longer become a daily option for me. So with this base test, I'm trying to do 2 things. One, I'm trying to find a long wear, photo appropriate base for next weekend when we have a family member's wedding. So setting spray and whatnot will come into play then. But I also want to find a way to make my oily dehydrated skin wear bases better. So the oily areas, and when things get oily, it breaks down my base. So especially if I'm wearing something hydrating, it just breaks it down. Whereas if I'm wearing something too set or matte, the dryness, my dehydration ends up like making it flake off, my base flake off. So I'm struggling just keeping makeup on my face and looking nice. So this project might continue on beyond the wedding, just as a way to try to like make my daily base look a lot better. So today I've decided to pivot to not setting sprays, that's what we're not doing, hydrating sprays. So on half my face today, I've got the Smashbox. This is the Photo Finish Primer Water. This was a limited edition scent. I've got that sprayed on this half of my face. I sprayed it in sort of 2 light layers to really make sure that there's enough there. And this side obviously has no spray whatsoever. Now, I am testing a few different things today. I have decided to try a different primer. This is a hydrating primer. Previously, I've used a skincare product and also a Bobbi Brown primer, but I want to try this Dermalogica one. I used to love this even when I had really oily skin. This was really, really nice. It held my base quite nicely, added a bit of hydration, and also blur. So it's the Hydra Blur Primer, and it sort of fills in pores almost like a silicone primer, but also adds some hydration. So I'm using this all over my face today just to see how it wears under the foundation. I might make this the point of a test in the next few days where I compare it to the Bobbi Brown one and see which one actually makes my base look nicer. But that's what I'm trying today. I've also decided to do a test on my foundation that I mentioned I bought, not just for the wedding, obviously, but that was my excuse to myself. I bought the Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. Now, what's something you might realize? It's a little bit too dark for me. I bought shade 4.5. I did a test on this, I think it was in May last year, so going into autumn in Australia. And this was actually a little bit too light for me, but it looks really good. So I thought that's the one I will order. Apparently, it looks quite orange on me now. We're coming out of winter, so as of Friday, it's going to be spring. So this is the fairest I'm probably going to be all year, and it's looking a little bit warm and orange on me. I might have to correct this. I've got a blue foundation corrector, which is fine. I can do that. I've got some lightening products, so I can definitely tweak the color if the base works and looks nice. And I can rely on it wearing nicely all day for next weekend's wedding. I can tweak the color, no problem. But I'm just a bit bummed that I thought this was going to be my great shade and it's not. Anyway, I'm also testing my favorite concealer of the moment. So in my past videos, I have mainly used a Kat Von D concealer because I'm using that up. But my favorite one is the Natasha Denona High Glam concealer. So I'm using that today as a sort of wear test. And I've put also the Sigma powder. This is the Loose Focus Setting Powder in Vanilla Bean. I just found that the Laura Mercier one that I used yesterday and also the Nakia Joy ones felt a bit dry by the end of the day. I've only got 2 other loose powders, this one and an e.l.f. one, and I want to figure out which one feels the nicest and then eventually do sort of flash tests on it to see if any of them have like flashback and look horrible. So yeah, sort of seeing how the foundation I'm thinking I might wear to the wedding is going to wear on me, while also testing the effect of a hydrating mist. If things start to feel dry, I'll reapply it during the day. But that's what we're testing today, hydrating mist. At the moment, it doesn't look any different, like maybe a bit more shine, but this has been on for a good hour and there's really not much different. I've got highlighter on. Again, I'm testing what blush I'm going to be wearing, but everything's looking very similar. So I'm actually quite surprised. So 2 layers of hydrating spray doesn't make it look much dewier than just the set makeup. So I'll check back in soon. All right. Okay, it's 4-hour wear test. And I'm going to reapply this just to see where we go. Also, my Kaleidos review, I've just put it up. I've just edited it. But I'm seeing stuff happening. So I might turn the camera around so we can... Look, when you look at it, you're like, Kat, your base is fine. It's fine. It's wearing all right. It's fine. But there's a difference. There's a difference already at 4 hours. All right, this is a side with the hydrating spray. It is starting to break down. See on my forehead, it's starting to like chunk up. But on this side, I don't know if you can see, not doing it. Okay, I've got no eyeshadow on today because I'm trying to give my eyes a break. But you see how under my eyes, besides I do have fine lines, but the concealer has like pulled away from my eyes. Hasn't done that on this side. Concealer is like right up to my lower lash line. This side, pulled away. So it's subtle, but there is a difference. And this is only 4-hour wear. So yeah, around here, around there, and up here, all starting to show signs of sort of breaking apart and breaking down. All because of what should be a spray that keeps it looking dewier and sort of hydrated and potentially even last longer because it's like a priming spray. No. Also, before I do rehydrate, like this side's looking quite nice and a bit of hydration there. This side is also looking the same, so that none of them are like looking particularly dry without the spray. It's feeling quite nice and set. There's nothing that feels different, but I'm going to block my face and spray this side again just for the experiment. Okay, 4-hour mark, I've just sprayed some more. Also, I wanted to mention with this eye bit, it's very strange because I Actually, when I sprayed this the first time, I actually covered my eyes because I'm worried about my eyelids getting irritated. So this sort of pulling away, it might just be like, I don't know, the moisture in the base doing something, but I didn't actually spray it directly on my eyes, if that's what you're wondering. I didn't. So yeah, sprayed some, we'll keep going, but I don't think hydrating spray is all that great for me. All right, new base wear test day. I'm actually very excited for this one. So today I've stripped things back. There is no primer, there is no sprays. When I had oily skin without the like dehydration, drying issues, I swore that less layers worked better for me because it'd make my foundation grip to my skin. So I'm going back to that theory and I'm testing something that was recommended on YouTube, I believe from a makeup artist that does weddings. So today I'm wearing my Armani Luminous Silk. Yes, the color is wrong. Yes, I need to tweak that. You can tell when you compare it to like, it's wrong, but I can correct it. On one side of the face, I have put a drop of Duraline. So this is Inglot Duraline. I love this product. I don't use it daily or weekly, but it is something that I always have to have in my makeup collection. Great at rehydrating pomades, so like brow pomades, gel liners. It's great for turning powders into liquids or like gels. So if you want to turn a black eyeshadow into, or like a pigment into, like a multi-chrome pigment into a liquid eyeliner, you use this. It's waterproof, it lasts ages, it's amazing. So this product I must have in my collection. So when it was mentioned, I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to use Duraline because I love it. So on one side of the face, I've used these two. And on the other side of the face, I've just used this. So we're going to see how it goes. And I'm really excited. Today's my long day. So I head to my parents' place. We leave at about 8:30. I did this at about 7:30. And we come back at like 9 o'clock. So I should be able to tell you a good like 14-hour wear day. See how it wears. And again, we've stripped everything back. So we know that if anything changes, it's the addition of the Duraline. So I'll show you the rest of the stuff that I'm wearing. So we're keeping it simple today. Foundation, a little bit of Duraline, a little bit of concealer, mainly in my under eye area. I didn't put any around my nose because I want to see how this wears, like how it affects around the nose area. So this was just under the eyes, and then I set it with my Sigma powder. Now this powder, like I don't know if it does flashback. I'm going to have to do tests on that, but I am really liking this powder. It doesn't get too dry, and also the color doesn't change my base. I'll talk about that more actually. So with my white sort of translucent Laura Mercier powder, I find it makes everything look a little bit like dusty. And then with my Nakia Joy Cosmetics powder, which I really like the consistency of, it actually turns my concealer more like orangey. So this doesn't do either. This looks, it just sets my base and feels really smooth, feels really set, doesn't look too dry, doesn't look too anything. I put a lot of hydrating skincare on in the morning, like not in order. I put a hyaluronic acid, a vitamin C serum with hyaluronic acid, a gel moisturizer with hyaluronic acid, a sunscreen with no hyaluronic acid, and underneath all that I also put like an essence that's supposed to be sort of brightening and hydrating. So like the most hydrated skin I could possibly have. So I'm hoping that, look how orange this base is. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed. I'm so annoyed at the shade, but shit happens. That's what happens when you order online. All right, I've just been doing weeding in the garden. So if there's any flecks of dirt on my face, it's legitimately dirt. Also, this is why you should wear eyeshadow primer. I'm wearing none today. And at 5 hours, my eyeshadow that I just put on with my finger this morning is creasing. So there you go. Anyway, there's actually no real difference to the sides. I thought there was going to be like a glaringly obvious difference. I do have sunglasses marks, but I actually think it's worse on this side. But again, it might just be how the marks are. I just had a good look in the mirror and both sides do look pretty much the same. So I don't know. Look, we'll see if at the end of the day there's a difference. But right now, the drop of Duraline doing no difference. No difference. Okay, this is over 14 hours wear. I'm about to take it off. It is nearly 10 o'clock and I put this on at 7:30 in the morning. Half the face. Foundation has a drop of Duraline to make it wear really well. And this side doesn't. They look the same. They look the same. It's wearing off where my sort of, I don't even know where that, what's going on here. I have not had my hair down, but it's wearing, maybe it's a fraction better here, but I feel like the cheeks look better here than they do there. I would say it's the same. No primer, no setting spray. Duraline doesn't do anything for my skin. Why? I feel like the thing that's annoying is that there's tips from like makeup artists that literally do people's makeup for weddings. The tips don't work on my skin. My skin, it can't be helped. Anyway, taking it off. Have to say, at 14 hours wear today, I feel like this Armani foundation wore quite nicely. Maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll just wear it by itself. Maybe I'll just wear it by itself. I've had enough. Here we are at base test, day number 9, and I'm keeping it simple. I'm pulling it back. I feel like I'm making 1 step forward, 2 steps back. So what I'm actually doing today on this side of my face is I've primed it with primer water. So this is the Smashbox Photo Finish Love Ritual Primer Water. This is just a limited edition scent. But essentially you can use it as a primer to sort of hydrate your base, or you can use it to refresh throughout the day. So I put a nice even coating under my base today, and then I went in with a foundation. I'm keeping it really, I'm not even wearing concealer today. I'm wearing the L'Oreal, this is Infallible Pro Glow. I love this. I've got like not much left of it. I'm going to pan it very soon. I don't even think I need to pan it because it's like, I feel like it's down to like here. I love this foundation. It looks beautiful. This is the kind of foundation, it's no longer available in Australia, annoyingly. But this is the kind of foundation I think would suit me at the moment. So it stays really well on the oily patches, but it also doesn't dry out the sort of dehydrated dry patches. So I feel like this is perfect, but I did find a flaw with it. And the flaw is that if you get any area like wet, so the other day I was wearing this, well, the other week I was wearing this and like I got a drop of water splashed on my face, it just melted the foundation away. And I had this like hole of just skin. And then when I tried to touch it up, it just kept pulling and pulling away from the skin. So I ended up having to like remove that whole area and reapply it, which if that wasn't the case, I would wear this to the wedding because I feel like it looks really good. And it's a fairly decent color match for me. Maybe it's a tiny bit too dark, but otherwise it's very good. It's just that it's not reliable to touch up. That's my main issue with it. So I love this. I'm wearing this. I'm wearing no concealer, and I'm just setting that again with the Sigma powder. I feel like this again is a really nice loose powder. My shade's Vanilla Bean. It doesn't change the color of my base. It doesn't make it too dry. It doesn't make it too chalky. So it looks like I've got a lot of luminosity, but it's set. So I've only got a bit of blush on today, and that's it. So that's the combo that I'm wearing, that combo. And we're testing to see if the primer water underneath the foundation, no spray on top, no nothing else, has an effect on my base. Because I did find that last week hydrating primers worked really well, but I also found the other day that hydrating sprays to set your base didn't do much. So I'm seeing, hopefully this is good. I don't know. Let's try it. All right, 7 hours wear, and it is the first time I've even stopped to look at my face. I don't know what's going on. Tuesdays are just days where I don't. Okay, so you can't really see. There's definitely oils coming through. You can see the reflection of my computer. Mainly on this side, I think a little bit more. Makeup on my chin's completely gone. That's not unusual. But one thing I have noticed versus side that had the primer water and the side that didn't have the primer water, I think this is wearing off a little bit less evenly, but it's very, very minor. From a distance, they both look quite good, like around my nose, especially around this side. This side looks like it's a little bit more intact, so I'm a little bit confused. I felt like if I wanted to refresh this, I would put some makeup on my chin, around my nose, and then I feel like the rest of it is fine. So that's not a bad outcome, but I just don't think there's a big difference between the primer water side and the non-primed side. I might turn this around. I don't even think I need to. Essentially, it's just slight like dry, not dry, but it's like breaking down a little bit unevenly there, and here it's sort of wearing off a little bit more smoothly. I don't think primer water is that beneficial, to be honest.